Hey everybody, movie viewer next door here, and I'm trying the headphones on for this video. I want y'all to tell me if it sounds better, if it sounds worse, which one y'all prefer, because it's gonna be either one of those. But I'm back with another review, and I decided to watch Badasses on the Bayou, or Badass 3. Oh, there you go. This film is from 2015, directed by Craig Moss, and it stars Danny Trejo, Danny Glover, John Amos, Lonnie Love, and Jimmy Bennett. In this film, the third installment in the successful action comedy franchise, Badasses on the Bayou reunites the dynamic duo Frank Vega and Bernie Pope as they travel to Louisiana to attend the wedding of their dear friend Carmen Gutierrez. What was pictured as a wedding weekend escape to the south turns violently ugly as madness and mayhem ensue, pressing our senior heroes to once again serve justice. So, what did I think of Badasses on the Bayou? Well, I have seen this film before, as have also seen the first two before. And I think this is my favorite of the series. Um, I I understand that there are things that the first film still did better than this, and there are things that this film did better than that. But I think for like straight up action comedy standards, I'd say this is the best because it is one of the it is the funniest for me. Uh, And the addition of certain actors really spices it up and gives it its own identity amongst the first two, which the second one was kind of just copying what the first one did. So, let me get to the cast. Danny Trejo is Frank Vega. He does a great job yet again. I don't think a lot of people can really argue with that. That's like at least one of the best things it does. Danny Trejo still kicks ass. A lot of the fight scenes are way better edited. These films get better with the editing as they go on. Danny Glover is Bernie Pope. Once again, he's this kind of grumpy character, and he's still fun to watch. You have John Amos coming into the film as Earl, who is Carmen's father. Um, and it was nice to see someone I had seen before in other things like John Amos. Um, because he was on what show was he on? Oh Lord, he was on some like really well known show. It was like Sanford and Son or something. It's one of those types of shows. But he was nice to see. He did a good job. Lonnie Love as Carmen Gutierrez. She does a great job. She's fun to watch. I, I know she's a very divisive comedian, and not a lot of people talk about her as an actress. She's an all right actress. I don't think she was ever like annoying. She never overdid the whole like, oh, I'm a fat black woman shtick. It was just enough like small references. There's like a bit where she's like, after I get out of this, I'm starting Jenny Craig, which I'm like, it was fine. And Jimmy Bennett as Ronald. He is the half brother of Carmen from another marriage. Um, I've always liked him. Ever since I saw Orphan, he's been in other films. He was in you're gonna hear a lot of M's and O's. I think he was the face model for what was it? Yeah, he was. No, he played the lonely boy, like the boy that's sitting in the back of the car in Polar Express. That's why I know him. Um, but yeah, I've always liked him. He was in the Amityville Horror remake. He's usually one of those younger actors that's like a bit better of an actor than the others, so it was nice to see him. You've also got like small appearances from Jacqueline Fleming, who has been in a lot of Wes Miller. s- films. I was gonna watch his new film, Color King, which is like an action film set in like a courthouse. It looks like it'll be fun. Um, Also Colby Arps, who was in Bad Kids of Crestview Academy, which is a film that a lot of people seem to hate, and a lot of people seem to say, "Oh, it's worse than the first film." I disagree completely. I think it's a lot better than the first film. It's a lot more competently made, for sure. Better acting, 100%. Uh, I hope they're actually making a third one because the second one kind of left on a cliffhanger. It had an ending to the main story of it, but it also left some things unresolved. But still, this film, again, it changes the setting. You're not in LA anymore. You're in the Bayou. There, I think they specifically say Baton Rouge or Baton Rouge. Um, so it was nice to see a change of scenery closer to where I live, which is North Carolina and the South. It's always nice to see movies hit, uh, taking place in the South. Though it does touch on some like racism things, it's not so in your face. With these films, it more so seems like it's just doing what a lot of these films do, which is be like, oh, you would be catching that person if they were white. And they did that in the second film and the first film to an extent, which I wasn't big on that. But I mean, it's there. It doesn't really like detract from my enjoyment because these films know what they are. These films don't pretend to be like fantastic, like Oscar bait. They or excuse me, they don't pretend to be Oscar bait, like pretentious bullshit. They don't try to be Sundance Award winners or Cannes Award winners. They're just trying to be entertainment, and that's simply what they are. I don't know what else to say to people online saying that these are like some of the worst movies ever, which is not even close to true. You cannot say that about a fucking Danny Trejo movie. And a lot of movies that get labeled that are just action movies that are fun. So it's just people who are stuck up dipshits. I'm sorry. If you're saying shit like movies like these are some of the worst movies ever, or you say like a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie is the worst acted or worst movie ever, I'm sorry to tell you, but you haven't watched enough movies and I don't know where the fuck you've been all your life. There are movies like Birdemic that exist. There are movies like Our Lady of the Assassins, which I think is still my least favorite movie of all time, or most hated because I fucking hated it. Um, there's movies like, hmm, well, you get what I mean. That there's so many worse movies out there, and I really do enjoy this film. I do. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it definitely ups the ante of things in the way of it tries to make improvements from the last film, which the last film made some improvements on the first film, where the first film most of the action was just like fist fights, and there's each of these three films have like a major like vehicle thing in them. The first film had the bus chase scene where Charles S. Dutton and Danny Trejo each get in their own buses and they start driving after each other. And it's a lot of fun. That's like one of the highlights of the first film. In the second film, you have them getting shot at by the guy in the helicopter and excuse me, Danny Trejo throwing the grenade that he got from earlier at the or yeah, Danny Trejo throwing the grenade that he got earlier at the helicopter and it exploding, which was a lot of fun. And in this film, you get them in like a giant cargo plane landing and like explosions going off everywhere. And it's a lot of fucking fun. This movie is a lot of fun. Would I put it up with like PM Entertainment action films where there's action like every 5 minutes? or a fight every 5 minutes or it's just like nonstop action. No, that's not the point of this film. Because when I rate something like this, there are films that are lower rated than this that I'd probably rather watch. Now, what does that specifically mean? It means that it really depends on what I'm in the mood for. Because, like, say a film like Hurricane Heist has the same rating as this and The First Badass, which is a 9 out of 10. I would rather watch Hurricane Heist because I feel, not because it's a higher budgeted film specifically, but Hurricane Heist is a completely different thing. It's supposed to be this like spectacular like action thriller disaster movie, and I do enjoy that type of thing, and I love Hurricane Heist. I do. It's so close to being a 10 out of 10 for me because I just have so much fun every time I see it. With these films are a completely different thing because they're doing their own things. And there are sometimes where I want to watch something original, and there's sometimes where I just want to watch an action movie and just not think about every single plot detail, which is why I think so many people that talk about like, oh, this is the action movie for the thinking person, and I'm like, or for the thinking man, and it's like, who gives a shit? It's an action movie. Like, deliver solid action, have a likable lead character or lead characters, and have a good villain. That's all you need for an action movie. There are many better action movies than Die Hard. Die Hard is not the best action movie ever. I hate to break it to people. I still love Die Hard. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there are better movies. Anyway, I keep getting off track. Um, with this film, yes, it tries to do kind of its own thing. It's still a badass movie. There's still the moments where people recognize them. They're like, oh, put your hands in the air. They turn around and they're like, oh, you're badass. You're the badasses. Which, yeah, that's kind of a holdover from the other movies. And there's still the jokes of about them like hitting on younger women and the younger women falling for them and everything. Which for the most part, it doesn't creep me out. So many people have an issue with movies where, like, Dolph Lundgren, like, a lot of people, there was a video of this guy, I can't remember his name, Drew something, and he was reviewing, like, Kindergarten Cop 2 with Dolph Lundgren and saying, like, no 30-year-old woman would ever swoon over Dolph Lundgren. Like, have you seen the man? He's, like, gorgeous. He's like got big muscles, like he's got an awesome voice. Like he's a badass. Why wouldn't 30-year-old women be like after him? Like I don't understand these people. I feel like they just love abusing the elderly or abusing older people. Like just because someone's 60 doesn't mean they can't score. Like that's so demeaning. But yeah, like again, you've got Lonnie Love and John Amos in this. You've got like just those two alone add quite a bit to this film and make it a bit more. Well, I mean, John Amos his character is like a Vietnam vet, and it's nice to see that like reincorporation of like, oh, because Frank Vega was a Vietnam vet as well and all that, and it was nice to see like a bit of reincorporation of things. And yeah, this film is just fun. I maybe the reason I'm going everywhere is because these films, it's kind of hard to just talk about them. So, if you like the first two films, and if these films were like 2 hours apiece, I wouldn't hate them. I'm not saying I would hate them. I'm saying like these films are not too long. Each of them are about the first two are about an hour and 25 minutes apiece, or an hour 26, something like that. This film is like 77 minutes without the opening credits and the ending credits. And I'm not holding that against it. It's short, sweet, to the point. Uh, and it does what it's supposed to. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It does exactly what it should, and that's probably the main one of the main reasons I like this one the most, because the first one did take a bit to get into things. I know it was setting everything up, but there are times where it kind of those types of movies kind of overdo it. Um, but yeah, I had a lot of freaking fun with this one. So, pros, uh, freaking Danny Trejo, Danny Glover, John Amos, Lonnie Love, Jimmy Bennett all do great jobs. The score from Todd Haberman is again an improvement on the last films. Um, the editing is a lot better during fight scenes. There's a lot more cool things that happen. There's a bit where Danny Glover like uses a stick and like knocks a gun out of a guy's hand, loops the stick through the I can't remember the term, but it's the thing that's around the trigger. Uh, and then he like gets it down into his hand. It's a nice moment. There's a bit where Frank like kicks a chair into a guy, or he like kicks the chair across the floor and it like trips the guy. A lot more fun moments like that in the action, kind of Jackie Chan esque. I'm not comparing this to Jackie Chan. I'm just giving context. Um, Again, improved action set pieces. The crashing plane bit was really cool. Like a lot of practical explosions in that scene, and it was nice to see more practical effects in this film. Yes, there's some really bad CGI fire later in the film, but I liked seeing some like practical elements. Um, Cons, uh, well, another pro, they did another badass theme song for this one, which was missing in the second one. They didn't have the original badass. They they have a new one in this one. They have a lot of songs in this one. But yeah, that was nice to hear. Cons, maybe the villain could have been in it more, and I'm not going to spoil who the villain is because it is a twist. A well done twist, mind you, but a twist. Um, Again, some of the CGI could be cleaned up a bit in all three of these movies. But yeah, this is a fun freaking movie. All three of these are fun. I feel if like I feel like these films are marketed more to like the 40, 50-year-old market, like action people who liked action back in the 80s, because it is kind of an old school type of film in the way it's made. It still has like new tech lingo at times, but never in a way where it like is inaccessible to older movie watchers. And I think that if you watch this with your grandparents or something, or your parents, I think that y'all could have some fun together. That they're not like too raunchy or anything that it gets like there's some boobs in a couple of them, but like I don't think these are like movies that are you can't watch with your parents or something. Like there's nothing that bad in them. But yeah, that was my review of Badasses on the Bayou, or Badass 3 Badasses on the Bayou. If you liked the video, like, comment, subscribe, whatever, and movie reviewer next door out.